Kubiak.
Here.
Councilman Hafner.
Here.
And Councilman Murray is not here, but we do have a quorum. Would you all please stand with me and pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Before we get started, we would like to take a moment, Councilman Beck, if you would, please.
Okay. Last month we had our spring cleanup, and Frontier supplies roll-offs and stuff, but in the past they always supplied help and people to take care of unloading vehicles and stuff. This time around, they left us holding the bag, didn't show up with anybody. The marshal's office stepped up, and four of his guys and the marshal worked all morning dumping everybody's loads. And want to thank y'all, and in recognition, Officer Tran, have a come up here, please. Mr. Hernandez, Mr. Olivo, sorry. And Mr. Messon?
Yes.
Appreciate all y'all, what y'all do normally, but y'all really stepped up and did something y'all didn't need to be doing, but y'all took care of the city like always. So, appreciate it, sir. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it, but.
I would also like to mention, these gentlemen stepped up and came in on their day off, volunteered their time last minute, canceled family plans, canceled other plans that they had to come and continue and volunteer their services as they do every day for the city of St. Hedwig.
And it would surprise me anywhere else with you. All right. We will go ahead and open with the citizens to be heard, public comment section. If we have anyone. We have one person for citizens to be heard. Y'all have done this before, so you know how this works, is that we'll give you 5 minutes to speak, and the discussion on any item not on the agenda has to be limited to statements of factual information. We cannot engage in conversation back and forth because it probably is not on the agenda. And we are happy to listen to what you have to say. So don't think that if we are not responding to something that you're talking about, that we're ignoring you. So I only have one signed up, and that's Richard Hammond. Yes, sir.
Good evening.
Evening.
I just I want the folks that threw my name in the hat for the city council. So you know who I am.
Name and address, please.
Oh, that's right, your name and address.
Richard Hammond, 2780 Pittman Road. I built that house 30 years ago and have lived there ever since. I know most of the folks in the room, and most of the folks know I'm heavily involved in real estate. Have been, and probably will continue to be. 32 years at the appraisal district, which precluded my having any involvement with any of the taxing entities. I would love to have had a position with the board, but it was a conflict of interest because you guys paid into the budget. Got extensive background in construction, home inspections, real estate sales. I have a lot to offer you guys. I have a lot of contacts, and I'd be glad to work if you guys see fit to do that. If you have any questions, reach out to me.
Thank you
Oh,
very
and
much.
thanks for the tree trimming on Pedro.
Okay.
Did a good job.
Thank you, sir. All right, and that's all I have signed up for tonight. All right, we're going to move on to the agendas. Next item is your consent agenda. You have the city council meetings from April 2nd. You have their finance report from March, and you have the investment report our first quarter. Can you please take a moment to take a look at those?
I move to approve the consent agenda.
I'll second.
All right, any questions, comments, or concerns? Hearing none, all in favor of the consent agenda, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Consent agenda is approved. Next item are our city reports. We'll start out with the city engineer's report. Mr. Swain is not here. You do have his report in the packet. He states that Success Engineering has been working on various projects since February of 2020. He's been with us for a while. The list of projects completed or underway with next steps or action items are, there are no current projects underway. There have been no reviews completed recently, and Success has some roads and is developing preliminary opinions of costs for several roadway segments that may be considered for street maintenance. As you all know, every couple of years we try to do a certain segment of road so that we kind of stay up and don't get behind on the road conditions. Preliminary costs are anticipated to be completed by the last week of May, so hopefully that means that at the June session, you will have some information. All right. Next report is from the Marshal's office.
Madam Mayor, Council, Marshal's Office report for the month of April 2026. Deputy Marshal conducted a total of 276 traffic stops, issued 64 citations and 245 warnings. Deputies responded to a total of 131 calls for service, completed 210 security checks on area homes and businesses, and completed 5 arrests. City activity report continued there. Calls for service continues to increase of various natures. And then, of course, we have our detailed traffic report. Speeding in school zone continue, but with that ramping up here in the weeks, and we should hopefully we'll see that traffic slow down in that area. Obviously, those violations will end for a couple of months. We do continue to see operators driving without a driver's license and valid insurance. We continue to see that. April was a busy month for everyone. We did, the office was audited by both TIHO and BPS, which were both passed with 0 deficiencies.
Excellent.
The report back on that.
Excellent. Thank you.
It looks like a lot of the, out of signature policies increased a little bit.
Yeah, with that being said, it's still 7 pages, that's gotta be a record, 7 pages of crime.
I remember the day, sorry, I was old. I remember the day when we used to get the crime report and like 3 items on there.
Yeah.
A little bit of a change. But then again, we also didn't have a traffic violation we did before then we didn't have a traffic violation. No other questions for the marshal this time? Thank you, sir. We'll come back and talk to you in a minute. City manager's report.
The first item, as always, is the grant and generator project. But it has changed since writing this report. Today, CRI and CPS were here. They shut down power to the building. CPS blessed the generator. The next step is we have to wait for Generac to come out and actually fire the generator up and make sure that they are pleased with the generator. But we got past the hurdle of CPS. We also received a reimbursement from TDM that I was shocked to get because of the work that I was still doing with them. I had no idea they were releasing funds. So I'm still working on securing more of the amount that the city requested, but was very happy to receive some of the money that is out there. Spring cleanup, as we discussed, it took place on April the 11th. There were 5 30-yard roll-off containers that we had Frontier bring in. I did a counter on my phone. There were 81 vehicles that filled those 5 roll-offs. There were 3 vehicles, it was about 11:20, and we were full, and Frontier, the one person that ended up showing up to make sure that we weren't breaking the rules and stacking too high, He said, that's it, you don't have room. And I said, what about getting another roll-off? He said, there's not time unless y'all are gonna extend. And I said, okay, then we're gonna call it. So we had to turn away 3 vehicles that had pulled in. I gave Robert the notice, hey, we have no more room. He told them, I'm so sorry, drive down that way, and if there's anything small, maybe they'll grab it out. They departed. And so the lesson that was learned is next time around, we put on there, first come, first served. When we reach capacity, that is the end of it. We may have to end the event early because the people were like, well, it said 9 to noon. Yes, but we don't have any room. So we're just gonna change the wording and make sure that people are aware that we ran out of room and it's a possibility in the future as well. The other item that has been discussed a few times lately is the tractor and the cutter. And Ronnie Mills is continuing to have on and off problems with the cutter, and he's keeping me very well aware of what's going on. And so the report is incorrect because we ended up getting the cutter back. The cylinder was welded on. We thought, here we go, we're gonna be up and running again. Well, Ronnie discovered they had welded it backwards. So it is back at the shop, and he's supposed to find out how long it's gonna be down. We only have one section left that we were planning on doing on North Gable with the cutter. And if he says it's gonna be a week, 2 weeks, however long, I might tell him, okay, we've got other priorities. That North Gable can wait until next time around. We've got, more shredding and possibly spraying to do. So that's where we're at with that. The website, the device, the issues that were happening on the mobile device have been corrected. And I'm waiting to hear back on the results from the ADA compatibility scan. I installed, ordered on Amazon a very small, cheap weather station to put, it's in between here and the annex building. And it was working great for a couple days. And then when it was storming really bad over the weekend, I lost connection. I'm like, what happened? Well, I got to reading about it, and it's common in all of the metal facility to have issues remaining connected. So it has been relocated to the window of the mayor/judge's office, and it has stayed connected since then. But that way we can let y'all know, hey, at City Hall we received 6 inches of rain, be a little more familiar with what's going on here since we are not here. That is all I had on my report. Are there any questions about? Okay. The municipal court report.
I got a few.
Oh, yes.
The spring cleanup, I think we might consider, instead of just cutting it off, maybe consider getting an extra roll off.
Okay.
If the council would rather do it that way. It's always, these things are hard to tell because there's some cleanups, you have more folks show up than other cleanups. So we never had that problem before because we always had 2 compact trucks. And that would take care of everything. Mine, plus a trailer to put the metal in because they recycle the metal. But we may consider just getting an extra roll off instead of cutting it off. And then with the cutter issue, my only comment on that is while we have an audience here, I want to make sure all the citizens understand. Because when we do cut trees, automation style, as Mr. Hammond was referring to, that was a manual cut. Those types of tree cutting are very expensive. And we went to this tree cutting apparatus over 10 years ago. I want to make sure everybody understands and reemphasize the fact, because we haven't done it in a few years, that this is the same method that TxDOT uses. It's a vertical shredder that trims the trees, and they try to mulch it up the best they can, and it falls in the bar ditch. And that may not be appealing to some folks. It makes your trees look rough, but we try to assure all the citizens that assuming it rains, the green will come back, and it does most of the time. And so a lot of citizens get upset when we use that tree trimmer. And again, we've done it for 10 years. We're not doing anything different than TxDOT does as far as procedure. And where we're in trouble, and the reason I want to bring it up is it's been a while since we've used the method, and no fault of our own. We bought the trimmer during the pandemic, and we've had problems with it endlessly. But I want to talk about it because the lesson to be learned here is when we go 4 years without cutting trees, the trees do grow. And when they get a certain diameter, then we have to manually cut them, which is a more expensive process. What's also happened in the last couple of years is we're under a severe drought. You wouldn't think it now. But the problem Ronnie's facing now is you got dead limbs. And when that trimmer hits those dead limbs, it tends to throw those dead limbs in the citizens' property and they get upset. So all I will ask is for the citizens to be a little bit patient with us. Once we get caught up on the tree trimming, it will be a much easier process once we do it on a more regular basis. So I just wanted to bring that up because I think the council needs to make sure we do it more frequently so we have it under control. It saves us money.
Thank you.
All right. Let's see, the next one is, we did the court report?
No, I was about to start. For the April 15, 2026 docket, at 1 p.m. there were 74 defendants. At 2 p.m. there were 33. The number that appeared at 1 p.m. was 9, and the number that appeared at 2 was 5. 40 cases were put into warrant status, 41 were sent to collections, 65 were closed. Of those, 18 were in collection status, and there were 5 juvenile cases. The next court date is this coming Wednesday, the 20th at 1 and 2 p.m.
Any questions for Ms. Lemon? Okay. And then I believe you're doing code compliance.
Yes, I am. Prior to y'all changing the meeting date, Robert had asked to be off to have some relaxation time, and but yeah, I know. And so he's on vacation, and when the meeting was changed, he said, I said, it's fine, Robert, I can read your report. So for the month of April, Robert issued 9 building permits, 1 driveway approach permit, 1 variance application. There were 7 sign permits, 1 utility permit, and 2 notice of ordinance violations. He said that there was nothing unusual, nothing that I needed to draw y'all's attention to, that it was, everything was pretty much ordinary. Don't put your glasses on and quiz me on Robert's report. No. Any questions? No? Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. We're good.
Okay.
All right.
My glasses for the next one.
Oh, okay. Okay, just making sure.
All right. So now we're done with the line items there. We'll go into items for consideration. First item refers to the Red Flood Freetown flooding issue and possible remedies for that. Again, as you know, I have asked that we try to find some solution other than barrier type remedies to the low flood area on Greytown. I would really like to see something more permanent put in that would, number one, free the city up from having to do manual barriers. We appreciate that Bear County has stepped up to the plate and has done some things in that area, even though that one piece where the low crossing is in the city limits. Bear County's worked with us and they've put some gates up on the other sides. They do have flashing lights, but to prevent people from permanently doing dumb things, like trying to go around barriers, ignoring barriers, etc. We'd like to have a more permanent fix. We've also looked into some ideas about bridges, and we know they're very, very expensive. We're looking at $3 million to put a bridge in, and that's just something that's not feasible for the city. So another remedy that we've looked at is the idea of actual floodgates. And once you, as you know, once you shut the floodgates, people aren't going to drive around them. So we've asked Ms. Pack to please look into that, and you have one quote for it.
Yes, that is the only one that was returned prior to the meeting. It was Della Garza Fence Company, Fence and Supply Company. They recently installed some gates for the city of Converse, and the pictures of the Converse ones are on page 2. Dale and I met with the individual from that company, and same day he sent this information back to us for us to get an idea of how much that kind of gate would cost.
So this is looking at, putting in two, one on each side, correct?
Yes.
Yeah, two of the metal gates that have the hinge support and they close and, they actually can lock or you can lock them. And the advantage of it obviously is the cost. It's something within a range that we could possibly deal with. $9,500 is what their cost is. We can obviously wait until we get some other quotes, if the council would like to do so. And we can table this for the next meeting, if you'd like to have some more estimates.
Question,
Yes, sir.
this was which city?
City of Commerce.
The engineer draw it up and stamp it and approve it as crashworthy? Because if somebody runs into it and it's not crashworthy,
That's
they
fine.
can sue the city. Which, I mean, it's great to have protection,
Mhm.
but we had people running through barricades all the time and running them over.
Right.
And if somebody doesn't see it or doesn't stop, and the city put it up and it's not crash worthy,
So is this a standard that you've seen before, and, used in the roads? And
TxDOT won't put that up and they won't block the road like that,
And-
because it's not crash worthy.
Okay, I was gonna ask you.
The county has put some of those up, I believe, off of Abbott at the Cibolo Creek, and years ago, and I believe an engineer drew it up and put their seal on it, if I'm not mistaken, but it needs to be either crash tested or, somebody's seal has to go on it. I mean,
City of
because they
Converse.
put a liability on us.
Okay.
City of Converse told me that my understanding is that we were able to install them because they are located within the City of Converse right of way. So we can,
That doesn't really answer your question.
You know, that's-
well, oh, sorry, I didn't read the first sentence. These gates were not designed as breakaway gates. My understanding is that we were able to install them because they are in the city's right of way.
So this is a question that we need to ask the vendor.
So that means the city's taking the liability if somebody runs through them,
Okay.
if somebody gets hurt, and they sue the city.
To your knowledge, do you know if they make these so that they're crash worthy?
I haven't seen them in TxDOT, not on TxDOT's website for crash worthiness.
Okay. Because my next question is if this is a standard that opens the city of liability or, and because I know they're using a lot of different places, but, if this is something that, is not an acceptable version, then my question is, what's next? I just feel like we don't have a solution at this point other than a bridge. And there's got to be some interim process that we can make this place safer, if this is not something that's satisfactory. So if we feel that this would not be, something we wanna do, I would take it back to the table and ask the council to look at what are some other options that we can use if this would not be satisfactory. I'm not asking for an answer now, I'm just putting that back out to the council.
And I'm not against those, but I'm just looking at the liability for the city's
Mhm.
standpoint as far as if somebody runs through them.
So Cynthia, liability, you know?
Somebody hits it and dies in a wreck, then their family can sue them.
I'm not sure, if there's any additional liability for placing up the gates. What I will say though is that if TxDOT has a reason, TxDOT is bound to have a reason why they don't do it right. And I've just never had a reason to check to see what that is, and so, there just might be something out there that I'm not aware of.
Again, if this is something that the council feels is not going to be a suitable answer, and I understand what you're saying, I would again put it out to the council. I mean, we've been talking about this for 3 years now, and we've got to come up with something else. We still have the same liability we had 3 years ago. Yes, we put in some additional parameters, but those are not permanent parameters, and they
don't work
and they
consistently
don't
either.
work very well. So this last water, storm that we had, Ms. Pat, what was the condition of the, signals and the gates, please?
This most recent one?
Yes, ma'am.
The marshal sent me a picture of water over the road. It was deep, and I hadn't received a notification, and I reached out to Bear County, and they're like, oh, it's not working. We didn't know it wasn't working this time. So how deep was the water when y'all first got there?
Initially, when we shut down the roadway, it was approximately a foot. Gosh, at the top of my head, I can't give you an accurate measurement as far as what we've ever seen on there. But as far as the warning signs and everything that's been installed, at some point, somewhere, someone messed with that box.
Yeah.
It was open, it was inoperable, it was not in any working type condition. Myself and as we told everybody we were on at the time, we were the ones that shut the roadway. There was no other closures in our area. Even the arms on New Berlin Road were
Have not been,
inoperable.
they've
One of
been
them.
not operable for a while. They come back for, yeah.
So, yeah, we shut the road down. As far as these, the gate, estimate that we received, much to your point, you know, the liability is there. Leon Valley uses them, Converse uses them. But I think what has been discussed and thought about is liability of the crash or liability of the lie. And you can't, one definitely outweighs the other. I know we would much rather work a crash than the alternative.
Yes, sir.
So that's gonna be the marshal's office position on that, as far as the recommendation, I know I've been asked. But my other recommendation also, if possible, some sort of illumination in that area to show that the gates are closed. Even in the meantime, in the interim, for however long it takes to make a decision on which route we do go. When we're putting those barricades up out there, there is no illumination, there's no flashing light, there's no beacon, there is anything.
And I
So the
thought
folks are-
Bear County was supposed to be putting lights up there.
There are lights, but I heard they are not very bright.
I would imagine not. But on the barricades themselves.
Right,
You know,
right.
there are,
Okay, that is smart.
you know, something to put on the
We
barricade.
can definitely do
And
that.
we would be able to put them on the barricade and maybe put them on whatever structure is built to close the road. Also, that would be
Yes, we can
something.
certainly.
Horrible warning. Like warning signs.
If you're gonna go out there and close the road and close those gates, you put barricades across the road and put 4 barricades across the road. It would serve the same purpose, but they're crash worthy.
Oh, I understand what you're saying.
The past 2 storms,
Storms.
the marshals were the ones that placed those barricades there for us, but, how many did we, you might not know, if it was just one kind of in the middle, or if we strung them across, I don't remember how many Dale left.
Typically, our maintenance supervisor will put some out. We have, I know that this last storm, there was one, a type 3 barricade, which is a little bit taller, a little bit wider than your standard barricade. There was one this side of the creek, close on the 1518 side, correction, on the, yes, on the 1518 side, and then I believe it was regular, just a regular
So
barricade.
when we say crash worthy, that means like it'll break away if they hit it. Because this gate has like a latch at the center of the gates and stuff like that, so it could be, I mean, I think we just need to do more research on it,
Yes.
if they are.
Yeah, that's,
Yeah.
we don't have an answer at this point,
Right.
if they are not, that's something to look into. Because Marshall Soto's point, when you talk about liability, the liability is, in my mind, is that, again, we've had this issue for a long time. The city is aware that it's a potential danger, and it has not been resolved yet. So I think we stand a greater liability that not to find some resolution if something happens. And that's what worries me.
I would wonder if at the base of these gates, much similar to the road signs that Texas puts out inside the highway, there's a breakaway gates.
Right.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Why wouldn't we be able to use something similar to that on these gates, that breakaway base that Texas puts out there? Why couldn't we put something similar to
On
that
bases?
on the basis of those? I mean,
Can we look into that as a possibility? Okay,
I think that's what.
okay. All right. I mean, I understand we're limited in our funds, we can't build the big, beautiful bridge. But I think that just stopping at where we're at is probably not the best answer. All right, thank you, we'll continue to work on that. All right, next item we have is an update on the Howard Energy, pipeline. As you're aware, we have, had multiple conversations with Howard Energy about the pipeline being put in. We met with them recently to discuss, the process. They are, interested in beginning the permitting and getting the, work, begun. We talked to them about the issues of right-of-way, fee permits. I frankly spoke to them about, if they would be, amenable to a donation, for the good of the city, the same as they've worked with, private citizens. And, I believe you have hopefully had a chance, to read the, proposed agreement in your packet. It refers first to the right-of-way and granting of rights. We've had our, legal counsel look at it. She has made some suggestions. I don't know if there's anything that you have, comments that you wanted to make, Mr. Trevino?
None that I would make in open session.
All right, understand. If you have any questions from the council. Yes, there's a lot of legal terminology. We discussed the difference between, a fee versus a, I'm sorry, I don't get the terms right, a franchise fee or a fee, versus a permitting cost. And that is distinguished in here. The right-of-way use agreement is also in here as well.
I mean, years ago, when they put Valero through in the 90s, the city collected franchise fees. I don't know why the city can't do the same thing in this situation, unless that's what you're looking at.
To be clear, we do have a, I believe it's a $500 franchise fee that we're looking at. Is that correct, Ms. Ryder?
For the road crossing.
For the road crossing.
In line with the.
Yes, correct. They are also.
Per crossing or total?
I'm sorry?
Per crossing or total?
Total. And a donation of $20,000 to the city.
So that's $500 one time.
It's a $500 one-time fee, and then the donation of $20,000.
One time for each.
If this is something that you would like to seek legal counsel on, and would like to go in closed session, we certainly can do that. But page 2 of 8 talks about the compensation. The operator paying the city a one-time permit fee of $500. And this being exclusive compensation and no additional charges, but, not including, the donation amount. Let's see what else is pertinent in here to look at. There's
When's
indemnification.
construction supposed to start outside, saying,
You mean the road work?
Yeah.
The right-of-way road work? As soon as we permit. And
I'm
that.
talking about outside of the city.
I'm sorry, outside the city, I don't know.
Yes, construction, and all of Leonard have been notified, but construction is slated to kick off as in mobilizing in on May 25th, and that's starting on the south side down near Caldera Lake,
Okay.
and working out towards this area.
That's why I asked, because I don't want to hold them up.
Right.
But that's a lot of work to get from Laverne Road to Calaveras. It's a lot. It's a lot of detail. Yeah.
And to be clear and to be fair, I do want to be very clear that there is no, consideration in, the road work that they're going to be digging any roads up. They are all going to be going down and underneath there. So there will not be roads that need to be redone or reconstructed.
But it's greater, yeah, and under the right of way, it's a greater depth than on civilian.
That is correct.
And the engineer has approved of all of their plans, asked for that in a professional letter. I have not received that yet, but I have his approval in email.
It's just, so, especially with the recent massive portions that are volunteer. So they go to the community. It just needs to be looked at a lot more.
And I think that again, the comments, are in there that, the council has made, regarding specific, language here, such as under compensation, and under indemnification, that, one of these paragraphs be stricken, 5.2, the city's indemnification. So that is in with the city, councilor's recommendations. Again, this is quite a bit of language. This is something that the council would like to have time for review.
We're getting a compensation of a one-time franchise fee.
It's a one-time permit fee of $500 and then a donation to the city of $25.
So it's really not a franchise.
No, it's not a franchise.
We're not gonna receive compensation for the duration of this pipeline being in this account for.
That, other than a donation, correct. Other than a donation. And the 500 permit fee.
So, it's not much.
So, my thing is, even if you're boring underground the road, things will, stuff happens. And they did a one-time permit fee, and after that, it's not permanent each time after that. It's,
Well, that's just maintenance.
Doing it, doing it.
Yes, section 3.2 is the exclusive compensation clause. It says, compensation shall constitute the sole and exclusive compensation payable to the city by operator for the presence, use, ownership, operation of the facilities within the city's right-of-way, and shall be in lieu of franchise fees, licenses, regulatory fees, permits, taxes, etc.
They come and work it. Once they do that $500, they can come and work on it anytime.
Everything.
So do you-
Gotta go on. They're boring under the road, they're not allowed to go.
That's correct. This is.
Yeah, nobody's allowed to do that in the city. And the city attorney has looked at the document.
Yeah, those
Talk
purple,
about-
the items in purple
Yeah.
are her comments.
Yeah, I'd rather further discuss it for a session.
Right? And we will table this at this time, and we have an ability, we have a language in our agenda to meet in closed session, is that correct? Yeah. All right, and we will table this until, the end of the meeting. All right. Then, next item up is the lease proposal for, patrol vehicles for the marshal's office.
Madam Mayor, I don't have anything new on this,
Okay.
other than what's already been presented to council. Council requested that, someone take a look at the books and see what we can pull, and, I believe that's been done. I believe our city manager also spoke with, did a reference check on, being fleet with, the city of Nixon, and I believe that's also in your package, for the findings there.
Okay. Does the council have any additional questions for, Marshal Soto?
Is there a minimal amount of vehicles you need, at least can you do one at a time and try? Yeah,
Would that be optimal?
I'm gonna state what I said last meeting. I've done a lot of analytics from one of the $1 million companies. In my opinion, I would like to run a parallel program, at least one or two, and then buy one or two, and run those programs together. Document your numbers at the end of the day. Like I keep saying, it's all in the math. Math doesn't lie. And that's why my question is, you need to do one, or I get your point, maybe two makes it a better lease, I don't know, if there's no difference between one and two, I would say we go one and then put in our budget to purchase one, or we do two and two if we can afford it. But I'd like to run a beta program, a parallel program, to see what gives us the best bang for our buck. And when are we gonna start preliminary budget work? Here next month, right? So we'll have a better, I don't mean to keep putting you off, but we're getting closer to October 1. We've already given you the extra money to maintain what you got.
We're
Well, make
managing
sure
that
that's
well.
not keeping you from doing your job.
At this point, it's not.
Okay, so that would be my recommendation. So I guess at this point, we just need to ask them if there's a difference between leasing one vehicle versus two. We know we're not able to do more than two. And if the price is the same, I would ask you for two options. A one vehicle lease and a two vehicle lease.
So I can tell you right now in the packet that's attached, the breakdown that you're looking at for an Explorer, that is per one. That's what you're looking at per one, for one, right here. And then you would just times that by two.
Okay, so there's no break.
That's it. And then you would look at, pricing for purchasing outright.
Yeah.
Of course, and in the end, when it came time to cycle out, we would look at what the city's input for, what's, how it's depreciated or what, but again, it's a tool, it's like anything else, any other piece of equipment that we use.
I like your idea of, I like the, preparing one by one, but in the current year, I don't know if we can afford one, even though the lease is fairly cheap for the year. Maybe we get two this year, next year we look at maybe purchasing one and do the comparison there. But I'm just trying to think something.
Understood, yeah, that's why I think if we can get a preliminary look at the budget and see what we
Yeah.
have in that line item,
Yeah.
then we'll take that next step. And I perfectly understand where you're going.
You work with, the city manager, in budget too.
Yes, sir.
Lease versus buy.
Yes, sir.
Those and, see what we can.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
But these numbers do look. pretty good.
I mean, it's not that big of a deal if we want to lease two and then buy two next year. We'll just be a year apart on getting the quicker answer.
Exactly.
So, but I'd still like to run them at the same time. Makes it a lot easier.
Because there's the short-term one, and then there's also the 5-year from what we said, where the purchase fee is at the 5 years. And if we depreciate it, these are all accounting things, how we depreciate
And
it.
vehicle prices change every year, so.
Vehicle prices,
Yeah.
vehicle prices are changing monthly,
Yeah.
based on demand. Also because they are police vehicles, orders have to be placed,
Yeah.
so.
The lease is more like an operating expense, where the purchase would be a one-time capital that we initiate out to zero. So it's zero at that time, and then the purchase of the new one. I get it.
Which makes it more important when we look at the budget, see if there's money, we gotta make sure it's the same vehicle. We get an approximate price on purchase. Yeah. Well, we gotta have the same vehicle.
Yeah.
So, just so I'm clear, does council needs other numbers, or are we pausing in the meantime until we can have our budget workshops and meetings and to determine which route we will go? Because those numbers will change between now and the time budget is decided.
Right, so, yeah, we're gonna have to,
Okay.
yeah.
Okay. Because he's gonna reach out and.
Yeah, yes, and we'll get a quote closer to the budget, we approve the budget. I think, Dr. Councilman Padalecki's, idea too, we'll need a quote also on the same vehicle for purchase.
Absolutely. As we get closer, I will.
But all the bells and whistles that you can get for these
Yes,
vehicles.
sir.
So
We already know the avenues we can go down to buy
Yes, sir.
law enforcement vehicle, which should lessen the cost. Just we gotta make sure it's the same vehicle,
Yeah.
same type of vehicle.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right.
Should we do that within the next 2 months?
All right.
It'll come.
I got my steps in today, so I can.
Okay. All right, then we are tabling this on, we get closer to the budget, correct?
Yeah.
All right. Next item is allow the marshal to begin process of converting the marshal's office to a police department. Sir, take it away.
So, several discussions with, I had Councilman Hacker and I discussed it, Fuji and I, it is my opinion that we have outgrown the outline of a traditional marshals. The city has grown, our offices have grown, as city employees we've all grown. The vision, I'm not sure what vision council had when they decided to create a marshal's office, but I'm sure it wasn't what we have now. Recreate, I apologize.
that's right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Recreate,
Yes,
sorry.
go ahead.
But I'm sure it wasn't what we currently have now. I have reached out, in anticipation of whatever questions you may ask, I did reach out to TICO. I have had conversations with representatives of TICO, to include the executive director, Greg Stevens. Also our regional services rep, Sergeant Mike Dickey. They're not, they get, and I have to be, we mentioned it, it's not the director's opinion that we should transition. It would be a recommendation. TICO is going through a lot of changes now. There are a lot of laws that are being discussed as far as agencies, constable, sheriff, police department, and marshal's office. When you look at the local government code and the Texas Occupations Code, there are a lot of things where we operate as a police department, but offer the same services as a marshal's office. The caveat to all that is me being the marshal and us not having an established police department, I operate as the ex officio chief of police for the city of St. Louis. That's how we're able to get things done. For example, that's how we're able to have a reserve unit. Because the marshal's office, by statute, is not allowed to have reserves. But because of the position that I hold and the way that the office was created, that's how we hold it. Reserves were a huge part of the establishment of this agency. That's how we started. I was a sole full-time employee. Having those folks helped us create and establish and get to where we are now. There are bailiffs. There are
Spring cleanup
spring
assistants.
cleanup, we have our traffic division where they assist. So there's a lot in that. But in discussion with TICO, right now there is a moratorium for establishing new agencies. We're already established. So again, as a marshal's office, we kind of fall in that corner because they're not exactly sure what the process would be for us. In discussions with Deputy Chief TJ Vineyard today, some of the questions he said, I will tell you this is what's going to be asked by TICO. Why do you want to change? We've grown the outline of the office. One of the things for us is, again, in the government code and the occupation code, when we want to do something, we see a sheriff's office may, constable office may, police department may. Never says a marshal's office. It's not in there. That's where city's going. Okay, Cindy, this is what we're doing, this is where we're at, but, okay. And then we go back and forth and we find this is how. If not, then we make phone calls, and figure it out. For me, it's an inconvenience, to be quite honest. It's an inconvenience. To be able to open a book and say, this is what the law says, this is how we operate, and this is what you need to do, that's a huge convenience. And also, it frees up some liability of not going by the set guidelines. As a marshal's office, some of those things just aren't there. Another thing they asked is, what are we doing as a marshal's office that we cannot do as a PD? My answer to that is nothing. There's absolutely nothing that we're doing right now that we cannot do as a police department. That's the answer to that. They also said, well, if we were to transition or allow you to create a police department, what would happen to the marshal's office? So more than likely that would be deactivated. There wouldn't be a need for the marshal's office. We're too small of a community to have to need two agencies. So they said, well, our recommendation should, and when, if that happens, would be for the police department to be up and running, fully functioning before the deactivation of the marshal's office. Should council. The other thing is they were asking about resolutions, what's in place, what we currently have in place. Everything that the city has in place is above and beyond what is required by people. So they were very happy with that. They were very happy with that when we received our audit. Because it was a zero deficiency, everything was in place beyond what we are required as a marshal's office. Because we mirror a PD so much. As far as what it would cost, it unknown for the transition or conversion. Of course, we're looking at aesthetics and things like that, decals on vehicles, patches, badges, and so forth. But that's that. I was also told that they would be, even if we did start the process tomorrow, nothing would happen as far as the decision, because people has to make the decision to allow us to do that. Nothing would happen until possibly the 2nd of October. Reason being, right now, with school getting ready to be let out, a lot of your ISDs are trying to start police departments, and that is their focus, because there's currently a moratorium on establishing new agencies. The justification, as there was, we had to establish justification for marshal's office. We were able to do that because the sheriff's office needs to within, cultural service, the population boom with all the area construction going on and so on and so forth, was an obvious need.
Is the moratorium you speak of, is that from the state or from the county?
It's from the state, as a T4. So, with all of that, again, nothing would happen even if council approved until sometime. Had I known that, I would have waited. But it's already on the agenda, and I already got all the questions asked that I would ask, and it gives me time to go back and ask any other council.
Good to have the situational awareness. To know that this is something that you're contemplating, gives the council opportunity, time to, gather questions and think about that. So it certainly doesn't hurt to let us know what's going on.
And I think out there, stuff we see on social media and stuff, there's a lot of confusion with the marshals. They think you're like federal marshals.
Which was gonna be my last point.
Yeah.
The perception of the public. Was either two things, federal or fire. And we get both phone calls all the time. We get both phone calls all the time. So there's a city perception. Again, the nostalgia of a marshal's office, I love it. I do. I enjoy it. It's been an honor to serve as the marshal for the city of St. Edward, the second marshal for the city of St. Edward. But again, we've outgrown.
And I think we have grown as well, police department.
So, yeah, I mean, the executive director, Greg Stevens, field service rep Mike Dickey, even Texas Police Chief Association. Like, where you guys are in transition. It's, conversations have been had, but is it the right time? And in talking to Chief Vineyard, he said, the right time would have been 6 months ago, because now there's so much coming up. We're getting ready to go back into legislative session starting January. Even though Senate committee hearings are already being held, there's a lot going on right there, and it's not going to slow down anytime soon.
And even at TML, where at TML, we went to the police chiefs conference, and correct me if I'm wrong, you weren't invited to that part, even though you're a member, but they were like, you're the marshal, police chief. Our police chief. Yeah, so it is. There's just a lot of confusion about marshal versus chief of police.
Well, thank you for that update. We appreciate it. We know we're going to be hearing more. I'm sorry.
Do we have any questions?
Absolutely. I'm sorry.
So you can still use your reserves going to the police department?
Yes. And we don't have to worry about any caveat. Or special circumstances as to why we can do what happened.
So what will be the interaction with the sheriff's department if switching to a police department?
Long story short, nothing. Nothing, because we already operate as a police department. We're already,
Still be assisting the sheriff's department.
everything was functioning the same, but, I mean, we operate like every other police department.
Nice job.
Can I add? So one of the things that I did send to Marshal Soto is that some of the new legislation that will be being discussed is to prohibit marshal's offices from having reserve departments. And the department here is really, tied to its reserve. And it's going to be problematic if the state law changes it says a marshal's office cannot have reserve officers, right? Because the department relies so much on reserve officers, so that's, you know, what will the legislators do? We don't know, but that is, being proposed.
And just so citizens understand, reserves are not paid.
Correct.
Yes,
They're not
reserves
paid.
are
A
non-paid.
lot of people know that.
Well, maybe in their time. And as far as, you know, the committee here that's being held, is there, wanting law enforcement agencies to justify their need for reserve programs, to have reserves. Because there are so many agencies that are, may have 1 or 2 full-time employees and
Nothing about reserve.
15, 20, 25 different reserves, and that's how they're running their departments. Well, that's not the problem. The problem is the side job that these guys are working all over the state, with little to no supervision. Their agencies don't know where they're at, what they're doing, the uniforms that they're wearing. Our deputy, your deputy reserve marshals are required to wear this uniform. They will wear a patch. They will wear an agency patch. Because if there's any type of misconduct while they are on the job, or all working on off-duty employment, that citizen's gonna have an opportunity to know where they need to call to file their complaint, or to pay their compliment. We do get those, we get as many of those as we get complaints. So, that's one of those things we're not really considering.
And like I said, I don't know about the cost either. I'd assume that the total cost would be.
Similar to what was paid when the office was
Right.
created.
And the rest would be rebranding, so rewrapping the card, patches,
Stuff.
That is
I know time flies. There's gonna be real fly.
Oh,
and we're talking about getting new cars too. Better be able to wrap them, have some rewrap,
point.
And then I do, you know, with the same understanding of being appointed, the decision we made to be appointed as a city official. It is allowable for the chief of police to be appointed as a city official. So that would be able to be in the same.
Again, I'm sure there'll be questions that'll be coming up. Please, write your questions out and, we'll, get them to the marshal and, we'll get them answered. Okay. Thank you, sir. All right, next item is the, contract with Wilson County. It is coming up for renewal. You do have a copy in your packet. However, that, unfortunately is not the newest version. We just received the newest version just the day before yesterday. We just received.
This
them-
week, hot off the presses.
Hot off the presses.
It's their first draft to us.
It is, and so please, sorry to do this to you, but disregard this. Take this just as information only that the time is coming up to renew the contract with Wilson County, and we are looking at the new contract. It does have changes in it. We have learned lessons in the past about this contract, so we be sure those are incorporated, those concepts are incorporated. A couple things we'll be looking at, I know this came up with the marshal's office, is does the Wilson County shelter have the ability to come pick animals up? If that's something that needs to be done. That was something that wasn't addressed in the previous contract. So there's some things that we still need to address. So I ask again that this be tabled for the next, I believe technically this contract expires May 31st. Your next meeting will be June 2nd or something like that. I believe that's correct. No, wait, I apologize.
Yeah, this one should have run us till
Yeah.
the, new
budget year.
Okay, 2 new
Yeah,
budget.
I'm gonna say, we just approved that.
Yeah, they, but for some reason they put out a new, and it might be because they're under new management.
Yeah.
So that's gonna be coming around, next time, just to let y'all know.
I thought at a previous meeting, when we talked about our friends at Bear County, we're trying to get something done in their footprint by Randolph Air Force Base there.
I don't believe it's by Randall. I looked into it and I think it's further out.